Welcome to the Tampa Bay IIBA chapter. Today is January 22nd, 2026. Today we have the pleasure of being joined by Rochelle Tan. She's going to be talking about design thinking in action, turning customer needs into high-value solutions. I'm really excited about this talk because I saw her give this at BBC and it's fantastic. Before we go on, though, I want to say that in today's meeting, I'm going to be giving you some events and dates. I encourage you to grab your calendar or a piece of paper so you don't miss out. Let me tell you who I am so you aren't wondering. My name is Thea Soren. I'm the president of the Tampa Bay IIBA chapter, and I've been a business analyst for almost 30 years. My career spans a diverse variety of industries, and I've had the honor of contributing to the BABOK and founding the BA Force Multiplier movement. All that to say is, as I'm president, I'm here to help you, so reach out. For those of you who are new to the IIBA, the International Institute of Business Analysis, we are a global governing body for the business analyst profession. With more than 30,000 members, over 120 chapters worldwide, and 7 internationally recognized certifications, we are committed to making the world better one business, one project, and one life at a time. The IIBA serves as the global standard-setting organization for the business analysis. Because of this leadership, the most respected and widely recognized certifications in our profession come from the IIBA, grounded in the internationally adopted BABOK guide. And what are the benefits of joining the IIBA? You get access to training provided by chapters across the globe, complimentary access to over 25,000 outstanding books, including the BABOK, along with webinars and additional resources. You get discounts on certification exams. In fact, we recently put a recording on our YouTube channel explaining this more in depth. You're welcome to review it. The IIBA has recently updated a lot of their resources on their website. I want to encourage you to go out and explore. There's so many new things, especially to the Knowledge Hub. And right now, they have the new BABOK Guide Technique Simulation. It's in beta. It's open today, and they are only going to have it for 4 weeks. They want your feedback to make it the best it can be. So if you have time, go out and check it out at IIBA.org. The IIBA chapters are in major cities around the world. If there is not an active chapter near you, we can talk about you starting a chapter, or you're welcome to the Tampa Bay IIBA. Members of the Tampa Bay, Florida chapter are not restricted to residents of Florida. In fact, Tampa Bay IIBA chapter has members literally all around the globe. If you do not have an IIBA chapter, Tampa Bay can be your chapter. Our vision here at the Tampa Bay IIBA is building a thriving community of empowered business analysts. So why would you choose to join our chapter? We offer multiple training sessions each week, including CBAP prep and coaching, and an acclaimed SDLC workshop, among other things. You can view our upcoming events at our website and the events posted across LinkedIn and Facebook. And by the end of 2025, we had presented over 400 events since 2021. Those events are available on YouTube, but that is a lot. So get the index of all those recordings here at Bob's Amazing Index, rpchurchill.com. Thanks to Bob Churchill. This is our board. These are the folks who work behind the scenes diligently for your benefit. We appreciate them and the benefits to our participants. As a result of putting in all those training and mentoring over 100 individuals just this last year, the Tampa Bay chapter was awarded the Global IIBA Award for Professional Development Excellence. Another result is that these students have reached out to tell us that our training and mentoring was a big part of their success in achieving their certifications. Many of these are past participants of our CBAP study group, and several studied along with us using only our YouTube videos. Of these 30 folks, a majority have gone on to lead IIBA chapters and organizations here and around the globe because we make leaders here. I want to take a moment to appreciate all of our partners. Our number one partner group is you, though, IIBA members and those who participate in our chapter. We've partnered with over a dozen other IIBA chapters worldwide, and we're mentoring 3 chapters that are just forming. These groups provide training and meetings in some way similar to our own, but I want you to check out the Bluegrass chapter, as they have some training sessions that are rather interesting. We partnered with the Doback Group based in the UK and these in the Tampa Bay area. We've successfully partnered with several recruiting services and training companies that bring goodness to our participants. Our goal, as always, is to elevate our BA community. So now let me give you some discount codes and events. Benefits of these partnerships include discounts and special events to our participants. Watermark Learning offers you a 40% discount using this code. That means that you have unlimited access to 1,200 CBAP practice test questions with a 40% discount. Watermark tools are what I use for the CBAP training classes, and many of my students have expressed how effective these tools are. Adaptive US, who specializes only in business analysis, has over 90 free items on their website, and they offer our participants a 20% discount on all live classes and on-demand courses, excluding IIBA exam vouchers. Adaptive does have an impressive guarantee. If you take the certification course and don't pass, they will pay for you to retake it twice. This is standing behind their training. On January 28th, in just a few days, the IIBA is holding a webinar for the public, no membership required, on preparation for the ECBA exam. This is the exam with only 50 questions and is for those who have no experience. Passing this exam puts letters after your name. But if you believe you have no experience, let's have a chat, and I bet you I can find something that qualifies as to the IIBA as experience. Next week, on January 29th, we kick off our CCBA and CBAP study series with an information session. Why would you want a CBAP, and what does it take to earn? This is a critical meeting to understand the certification, the study needed, and the test itself. For those interested in the CCBA and the CBAP study groups, I highly encourage your attendance here. Enrollment in that course will begin for us on the 30th at noon, and for our partner cohorts, it will begin on the 29th or 30th. Not long after that, early bird pricing is going to be ending on the BA Live Conference. We expect it to go through the end of this month, so it's actually scheduled for April, but you want to get the early bird pricing. It saves you about $50. I'm sorry, 50 pounds, and makes your cost about 264 USD. February 3rd, the IBA's yearly membership rates are increasing slightly. If you want to lock in the current rate for the future, go ahead and pay now for as many years in advance as you want. You'll get the savings. On February 4th, the IIBA will host a members-only webinar on AI governance. This is a critical topic that all BAs need to understand. On February 5th, Shweta joins us to talk about leading without authority. As BAs, we don't often get to make decisions for others, but we have a huge potential for impact. So come participate in Shweta's talk. The Early Bird Special for Software Testing for Business Analysts by David Verbanek will be ending on February 7th. This is a 7-hour virtual workshop and will give you insight on QA stakeholders as well as how your requirements need to be structured to be tested best. This one I'm really looking forward to. Scott Ambler, a friend of mine, joins us on February 12th to present Data Skills for Business Analysts. Scott Ambler is one of the most influential thinkers in modern Agile practices, a methodologist, an author, an architect of Discipline Agile, whose work has helped thousands of organizations worldwide to deliver better outcomes with clarity, discipline, and adaptability. I really enjoy listening to him. I learn every time I talk to him. Y'all come participate in this. Also on February 12th, this is the last day for the early bird discount for building the BBC conference, Building Business Capability. This saves you a nice chunk of change, so get it while it's hot. On February 12th again, at noon Eastern, SoftEd is going to be providing a free webinar, AI as your software testing partner, strategies every team should know. Also on their website, they have 26 webinars free. And so this is one of their free things. I really encourage you to participate. They put out good stuff. And then Taiwo is going to be coming to talk to us on February 19th. It's going to be talking from insights to action, automating business workflow with MS Fabric and Power Automate. If you've heard a little bit about MS Fabric or Power Automate, you know it's super powerful and it's getting very, very popular. I highly encourage you to lean in on this one. And one more, on February 26th, Rochelle is going to join us again for Bottlenecks to Breakthroughs, how a problem-solving workshop unlocks sustainable improvement. She's going to talk about a use case, an actual situation that she walked through and how it impacted. So for those of you, especially new BAs, this is real life stuff. She's going to bring it to you. To keep up with all of our events, subscribe to our events on our website, tampabay.iiba.org. You can select events and then subscribe to notifications. We also have a LinkedIn group that you can join. It's IIBA Tampa Bay chapter in Florida, USA. And you can check out our YouTube channel. We have hundreds of videos on past training there. I encourage you to look at Bob Churchill's index. We call it his fantastic index. It's rpchurchill.com to get the index of what is where on YouTube. And now, let's go to our presentation. Take it away, Rochelle.
Thanks, Thea. Let me share. Okay. So a quick check. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So by show of hands or maybe virtual hand, who among you have had the opportunity of working with clients, whether internal or external, you call them clients or customers? They come to you with a problem and they already have a solution, or they come to you for something, but then at the end of it, you converse, and then it's very difficult to get to understand what they're really asking for. Who's had that experience? Yeah, I see a few right here. Yeah, quite a few, virtual and yeah. Okay, great. That's right. And it's not uncommon, right? And it's nobody's fault. It's just challenging this space that we operate in. It's more complex than it really is. And so, what we have today is a great topic that will allow you to hash through the noise. It's not, and I'm going to be very honest, it's not a perfect solution, but it's actually a great way, and I've seen this in action, and I'll show you how I've used it in the past. Uh, That's why I truly believe in it, to really harness, elicit what it is we're trying to solve, what problems we're trying to solve, and get to a solution, a sustainable solution that will solve the root cause of the problem. And so that's where design thinking comes into play. Before we get any further, I am your learning facilitator today. My name is Rochelle Tan. I have a boutique size consulting company called Articulate. We help small, medium to even large enterprises in terms of their transformation efforts. That goes from the team level all the way to the portfolio level, trying to leverage technology or different techniques in order to deliver high value products and services. So one of the things we do is actually leverage design thinking in terms of looking at for issues that has been challenging, has been that the company has been trying to address, but has had a lot of challenges, and then getting to a point where people are collaborating and actually building a sustainable solution. Okay. So if you'd like to connect, I will actually share my contact info a little bit later. And as I go through this presentation, I want you to interact with me, ask questions, clarify if there's any, and even make a comment, say, yes, I agree, or I'm not so sure I agree with that. If you notice, I also put in that I am a learning facilitator. This is actually, I'm not here to do a sermon or a lecture. I'm actually here to help you by understanding and learning this technique by doing it. So this is how this session is going to flow today. I know that we don't have too much time from what Thea was saying. when we hosted this session, my partner and I, Cassandra Chu, and I did this at BBC last year. It was actually a half-day session, and so had to really cut down the material, but in order to fit into this time that we have. But you do have the content itself. I did not, shortchange you on that, but it's the activities that we will not get to do, not all of them. We will have the opportunity, I believe we can do one of them. So for today, what we want to do is achieve these three goals, and you will help me by participating. And so we start off with an overview. As I've said, with the time that we have, I will try my best to give you an appreciation of what design thinking is, but still get to the why and what, which is goal number 2. Because the idea here is that when we build something, it's really not for our benefit, it's for our customers' benefit. And then last but not the least is take actionable strategies where you can actually take them with you and apply them to your workplace. So we start off with our topic. Normally, when there's an issue or a problem or an opportunity that we want to achieve, we're usually in this space, right? It's very convoluted. There's divergent thinking. Even just to understand what problem we're trying to solve, people have different interpretation of what that means. But it's not wrong. Having divergent ideas is not wrong. It's just the reality of things. But where design thinking comes into play is it actually leverages this divergent thinking and then slowly go through the process of finding out those emergent ideas in order for us to converge. And whether that's converging in finding out what problem we're trying to solve or what the actual or proper solution is in order to address the problem that we're trying to solve, that's where design thinking comes into play. There's different approaches to design thinking. With the time that we have, this is the approach that we're going to take today. I'll give you some alternatives at the end of this talk, but for now, for efficiency purpose, we will follow this workflow. So we start off with the vision, followed by an empathy map. This is where we truly understand who our customers are, what are they experiencing, and then further narrowing it to a point where we understand what they're trying to do. We build it and we actually validate and measure to ensure that it's helpful for them or not so helpful, to allow us the opportunity to assess whether we should pivot or persevere on the solution or solutions that we come up with. Oh, sorry. So before we get started, I'd like you guys to take this moment to listen to our use case, because that's what we're going to be doing today. As I've said, I'm here as a facilitator, not so much as a lecturer. So I'll show a short clip and then we'll process that short clip, because that will segue us to the activity that we'll be doing today. Any questions before I get going? Nope. Okay. And I would like to ask if folks on the call do help me and just flag me if there was a question that I was not able to address immediately. So, because I'm also looking at my screen for the presentation. Okay.
In today's world, airlines and travel websites expect travelers to handle everything themselves, even when plans fall apart. Flights Done Right, also known as FDR, is a travel service company focused on making air travel easier, smoother, and more personalized for business travelers. We offer services like flight planning support, helping customers find the best flights based on their needs, fastest, most cost-effective, and convenient, not just what shows up first online. We also offer disruption management. If a customer's flight gets delayed, canceled, or changed, we step in to help rebook, refund, or reroute them. Another FDR service is travel advising. For customers with complex trips, like sports teams and business travelers, we give customized advice that online booking tools can't match. FDR also provides flight monitoring services. We watch flights for schedule changes or upgrade opportunities, alerting customers quickly so they stay ahead of problems. A unique service is the Elite Experience Consulting, helping frequent flyers get the most out of airline loyalty programs, upgrades, and lounge access. Flights Done Right brings real human support back into air travel, turning chaos into calm.
There you go. So our use case today is Flights Done Right. It is a fictitious company. I know there's a website that was posted in there. It's probably not going to resolve to anything, but the idea here is to have a starting point. In this case, our use case Flights Done Right, and then we're going to use Flights Done Right situation in the design thinking workflow to get us to a point where we will achieve the objectives that Flights Done Right wants to do. So the challenge, right? I mean, Flights Done Right seems to be doing well from what we gather in that video, but at the same time, they can't stay complacent. They feel that they can do something more. And so with that, they're thinking, do we expand our customer base? Is there any new services that we can do? Or maybe leverage some technology or partner with somebody that would help us in order to maybe expand our existing market, or maybe provide another service to make things easier, faster for our customers. And so your role here as part of this session today is imagine yourself, you're part of the leadership team. And leadership doesn't mean you have to have a title of a C title, right? The CTO, CEO, or an executive. Business analysts are actually leaders in the organization because they're the ones who are bringing people together, bringing those ideas together, clarifying what the challenges are, what the most important things or priorities that the company should be focused on by leveraging sessions with customers maybe, or providing data information that's out there down on the ground. So as a leader in Flights Done Right, or FDR, what we want is for you to come up with bold ideas to grow this company with focus on the travelers, meaning what is it, we're trying to figure out what is it that our customers need in order to make business travel easier, faster, better for them. So to do that, we're going to put ourselves in a rocket ship, and imagine this rocket ship actually transports us to another time, which is 5 years from now. Okay, so we're at 2026, so imagine it's 2031. We're going to set our vision by using a technique we call postcard from the future. So setting a vision can be done in different ways, but as I've said, for the purpose of this, for the time that we have today, we're going to use a technique called postcard from the future, because it will help us get to what we need to do, which is establish a vision for ourselves. Now, visions can be created for the company, maybe for a certain endeavor, or it could be an overall company vision, or it could be just, for a certain initiative. In this case, imagine it's for an initiative for FDR that we're trying to achieve. We're trying to establish a North Star of where we want to be. What type of impact does that bring? How does that drive the prioritization that we're going to be doing? And why is it compelling? Why do we even have to do it, right? Those are the things that we need to answer when we're setting our vision together. Now, vision setting can be done in different ways. For now, just imagine we're going to do it individually, but just looking at this for now, if you were to set a vision, say for an initiative for FDR, who would you normally bring to the table in putting that vision together? Just a quick question, no wrong answer here. You can put it on the chat, or you can unmute yourselves and share your ideas.
The CEO?
Yeah, you could bring the CEO in there, definitely.
Head of sales.
Who else?
Head of sales.
That's right. People who are involved in selling or finding out, who are closer to the customers. If you don't have access to your customers, this is actually a good way to get your customers' perspective. But if you have access to your customers, if you have the luxury of doing that, I would highly encourage you to also reach out to your customers. Anyone else?
Head of
Please use your,
technology.
sorry.
Head of technology.
Yeah, that's right. The tech people, right? It's not just the people who are customer facing, but the ones who are involved in building this as well. Any last feedback, last item?
User experience.
User experience. Is that what you said, Pete?
User experience and lost luggage.
There you go. Yes, yes. So people who've gone through the pain, right? It's always great to bring them to the table and understand their pains. Okay, wonderful. So we all got this. So some of the vision that, our organization have established for themselves, this is more on a organization perspective. So they came up with, you belong anywhere, or entertain the world. That's who we are. Or turning insights into expansion success. These are just examples of, the type of vision that people come up with. Now, what we're going to do is put that into action. The idea here, guys, is not to get it, not to perfect the vision. Remember that. The idea here is to experience and try this technique out, and then you can bring it back to your own organization. So to do that, I'd like to ask folks to actually scan this QR code to bring you to the mural that I've set up, because we're going to do this live and I want to make it interactive. For those who cannot scan the QR code, let me give you the link in the chat. So click that link. It should bring you here. Yes, I see some people. Oh, and don't worry about signing up. Just come in as a visitor. You don't have to register. So we got our visiting bee, our visiting rhino, our visiting sea lion. I'm hoping that we get a lot more from the folks that we have on the call today. Yes, yes. Okay, we're getting more. Perfect. Okay. So while people are joining, in the screen, I'm going to show you how to quickly navigate in here. So the way I usually navigate is I have my mouse which has a roller. So to zoom in and out, I just click the control button and zoom in and out. And then I use my right button to go left and right, up and down. Now, for folks who are having challenges, or maybe you just have the pad, it might be a little challenging. So touchpads may be a little bit challenging. So what you want to do is go on the bottom right hand side right here. This is a control panel. You can leverage it. If you click this, you can actually navigate around the space that we're operating in. So I can actually move myself around by just dragging and dropping from this map. I can also change my setting depending on what I'm using, whether it's a mouse or a trackpad. And then if I want to navigate and move around, I can also change the move mode. Okay. But we're not going to do a lot of complex stuff in here. I just wanted to give you that overview so you can start navigating. The first thing I want to do is actually summon everybody, because I'm going to give instructions of how we're going to do this. There you go. And then I will release you. So our activity today is to write a postcard to ourselves. So imagine, oh, was there a question?
I don't see one.
Oh, okay. So imagine it's 2031, 5 years from now. You're writing your current self, like your 2026 self, and describing the impact of what you've just built or what the company has just built for your customers. So think big, you can go crazy with this. And then we'll give ourselves a little bit of time to share. We won't have time for everyone to share, but I'm sure everyone will be curious to see what people have written. But the good news is I won't close this mural immediately. You can actually take a look and go back to it after this session. And for reference, I've also put in the challenge and the final goal information that was on the deck, just so you could refer to it. So to work on this activity, this first one is actually mine. I kind of cheated. but I wanted to give you an example. So this is my first pass on the postcard, right? So I'm writing to my future self. So I'm going to write to Rochelle Tan. Oh, actually, sorry, to my present self, right? And then saying, these are the things that I'm so thankful that you did. You could also write to the team if you want, if it's not just one person. So here, I'm saying, Dear Rochelle, thank you for Freddy AI. Now, revising travel interruptions is a million times easier and saves FDR 200,000 every month. So this is very basic. It might need a little bit of refinement if you ask me, but we just want to keep it simple. So in writing a vision, we're actually looking at ourselves, right? Like further out there. For our context, we're looking 5 years ahead. Where are we at with FDR? You've seen what FDR is. Think about FDR, where you want to see FDR, right? What are the key things that are there? Oh, great. I see people doing that. Yes, so I have quite a few postcards in here. Just pick one and make it your own. To start typing, you can just double click on the postcard and it should bring up a cursor, just like what I'm seeing right now. And then you can start writing in there. Okay. I'll give you guys here, I'll put the timer, maybe 3 minutes. I'm also being conscious of time. Okay, there you go. Because I've seen people are already writing as well. If you have any questions, feel free to bring it up. Anyone having trouble finding or navigating in this mural? You see, we have quite a few in here. I hope you guys don't mind. I'm going to highlight a few of them so people can see. There you go. We have having the disembarkation service made it possible for my family with small children to travel. It was impossible without the assistance. Additionally, my elderly parents were able to travel after they thought it impossible. That's always wonderful. Yeah, I was just traveling with my in-laws, and yeah, it's very challenging, right, for elderly folks to travel by themselves, especially if there was a travel interruption, which happened to my husband's parents. It was very unfortunate, but good thing they had some help. But yeah, it was very challenging. Everyone was like on the phone trying to help them. Okay, we have thank you for the introduction of the mobile integration suite. It only made sense for mobile users to be utilizing the company while traveling, but it took extra vision to actually realize those gains. Perfect. That's wonderful. Any other ones? Wonderful to see the expansion of FDR services in the cruise space walk. Oh, nice. Yeah, I like this. That's really looking, being bold, right? And railway transportation areas building on the success of airline challenges. I love it. There you go. So I think you guys get the gist, right? When you're doing this. And, you make it fun as well. Like work doesn't have to be so serious and boring. If you make the activity or the event fun, people actually want to be there. They show up on time, they stay. If you need more time to process something or do some analysis, and they want to keep doing it, right? They want to refine it because they like working together. They like the experience. Great. We are on our last 30 seconds. So by this time, you should be wrapping things up with your postcard. I'm also trying to be efficient with time. That's why I'm sharing what folks are writing so you can see examples of, what people have in mind. Great. So last 10 seconds, you need to be wrapping up at this point. There you go. So there's one more. Maybe I'll read one more here. Dear Stephen, thank you for collaborating with the U.S. Virgin Islands Department of Tourism to create unique island excursions for customers. That's wonderful, right? Because Right now, this is a market that has not been tapped by FDR. So in 5 years, they probably have expanded themselves and leveraging the right stakeholders to make them successful in this island excursion space. So as I've said, we won't have time to go through every postcard, but you get the gist where you're trying to encourage people to think boldly, to think about great things. And this is where the divergence comes into play because people have different ideas. We all have different ideas if you just look at what people have written in here, which is great because then you get feedback of does it make sense? And you have your as what we've talked about, you have your CEO joining here. They'll have their own postcard. You have the IT folks. You have customers coming in, putting in their postcard. And then you process that. You work together to come up with a way to bring things together. So this is a combination of leveraging ideas, and then you marry it with where your customers are headed, what opportunities or challenges you're trying to address. In this use case that we're trying to do, we're trying to leverage an opportunity. We want to expand in our market. With that in mind, and knowing who FDR is as a company identity, you want to bring that all together to come up with a more succinct and easy to remember vision. Now, we won't have time to do that, but just remember, if I can just bring you back. So some companies, they've actually narrowed it down so much that it's, they left it at, 2 words, 3 words, or 5 words, because visions are like your North Star. You want it to be simple, easy to remember, because if it's too complex, people will forget it. But this is really important because it guides you throughout this journey, which is what it will do for our activity and our workflow today. Any questions before I move on to the next part of our workflow, which is understanding the customer? If not, I'm gonna move forward. So understanding the customer is the next step. Once we have our vision, we have our North Star set up, then or established, we then kind of narrow that down. Okay, this is who we are. This is where we want to be. If spacewalk, let's just take that spacewalk example. I love that spacewalk. If the person who put it in is okay with that. Say we want to do spacewalk, right? So if spacewalk is our target in the next 5 years, we should look at what our customers are looking for or asking for, and how would they feel when, right now with access to travel. What are they saying? What are they thinking? What do you think they would do? And so this is where empathy map comes into play. I think the best way to explain this is I'm going to show you an example. This is not the only empathy map you can use. This is an example of what an empathy map is. So you find, say, a customer or group of customers. You start with that in mind. And then you can, if you have the right representation, you can fill this in. But normally we would do a combination of people who are doing the delivery. So people maybe from FDR coming in, the ones that you guys have just mentioned. And then we marry it with customers, potential customers. Maybe it's a focus group, or maybe it's already our existing customer base who may consider, business travelers who may eventually go into spacewalk. So we go and work with them and address or answer all of the questions that are seen in here. What do they think and feel? What do they see? What do they say? What do they hear? So that it gives us an idea of what our customers are really looking for. Now, sometimes we also use empathy map for existing products that, sometimes you say, we're stagnating. We're not growing this product. I don't know what's wrong. We did so much work on this, but it seems like we're not getting anywhere. So that's also another way of doing it, is you bring the customers to the work, right? Or where they work, and then you bring yourselves there. You can do an observation and fill this out, or you can do a simpler technique. Some people, they use other technique of, shadowing, maybe. I don't know if you guys have heard of Innovation Gains by Luke Homan. You can Google it. You can check it out. There's a lot of free information about it. Shadowing, meaning You're actually there watching people do their work in the actual space and environment that they're in. Some people also use this term as the Gemba walk, meaning it's a Japanese term where you're actually living, breathing what your customers are doing. So you can understand what it is that they're actually experiencing, why they're not using the product, or why the product is problematic or not as popular. Okay? So let's just say that we've done this empathy map and we've had a bit of an understanding of what our customers are experiencing. From this information, we can actually narrow it further down and make a determination where we say, okay, if these are the things that our customers are experiencing, these are the pains and gains that they have. I go back to the example that I've said, we are only trying to address an opportunity. In this case, how do we get people to space, right? Spacewalk is the opportunity that we're trying to achieve. So if spacewalk is what we're trying to achieve, let's narrow it down to the customers who will consider doing spacewalk. And from there, build a roadmap from that information, from what we gathered from our vision, as well as our empathy map. With me so far? Can I get a thumbs up if you guys are good with this? Okay, great. Now that we know where we're headed, we have a sense, right, of where we're headed. That squiggly lines is getting a little bit flatter. We're gonna make it even more plain, which is through our roadmap. But we start off with the story map, meaning we want to understand if spacewalk is where we want to be, what does that mean? How does that translate for our customers? And so we then go through the exercise of mapping out and writing a journey. So this is not the same as a process map in a sense where, you're creating like step by step, step 1, step 2. It's a bigger chunk of our set of processes or steps. But I'll show you what that looks like. The idea is to understand if our goal is spacewalk, right? That's what we want to achieve. What are the key activities that our customers will be doing to get them to do spacewalk or to entice them to actually avail of that service? What are the critical things? What are the challenges that they may be experiencing before, if they were to do any spacewalking? So this is an example. So as I've said, anything that I share with you here, you can use it immediately. But my message here is that this is not the only way to do story mapping. But I'm going to tell you that I've used this a lot of times with external, internal clients, and it has worked well. You can leverage other templates. If you just Google it, or if you use tools like the one that we've just used, Mural, there's actually a lot of templates there. You can borrow, just, steal shamelessly. This is where we can say, steal shamelessly with those templates. They're meant for you to use them and make it your own. So going back to story map, the way this works is if our goal was spacewalk, so our customers want to do spacewalk, and maybe we'll refine it a little further in terms of what that translates to as a goal. From there, we put in key activities. So do we start off with, somebody seeing an ad of spacewalk, and maybe from there, inquiring about it all the way to booking the service? Or it could be another perspective that you take. But from those big body of work, then you would write in the steps. I'll give you an example, like something really basic. If we were to put it as a personalize it, the way you would put this together, let's say getting to work. So for me to get to work, I would say, I wake up early in the morning, and then from there, I would freshen up, get ready, get my breakfast, check some emails before I drive myself to work. But there's so many things that occur, right, from those body of activities that I just told you. And so I could be more stringent and put in the steps and what alternative steps I could do. So an example would be maybe I wake up, and then this is if I was at home, I would have the alarm, turn it off, and then walk maybe to the bathroom, right, to get ready. But an alternative would be, what if I was stranded in the airplane? I took a red eye because I wanted to make it to my business meeting the next day. So I could have an alternative step here where I'm actually in the airport looking for, I don't know, a lounge or something to get to freshen up, right? Before I can drive myself to the client. So these are just examples that I'm giving you to get an idea of how you would navigate the different streams or swim lanes that you see in here. I'll give you a real life example as well. This is actually of FDR, not about spacewalk, but it's about easing the booking of flights with FDR with regards to customers, loyal customers, because they want to do a combination of booking a flight, but recognizing that they are valued customers. So they have credits that would immediately be identified and provided to them before they pay and finalize their itinerary. So again, because of the time that we have, I'm not going to walk you through step by step, but you have access to this, so feel free to take a look. I believe I will be sharing a copy of this PDF file, so the chapter can definitely email it or make it available to you guys. Questions so far? No, I see some chatter, but if there were questions, oh, okay, record. Yes, there will be a record. There is a recording for this one.
I just had a brief question.
Yes, go
Is
ahead.
the story map the same as a customer journey map? Is that the same thing?
That's right. That's right. It's very similar, maybe some slight variation, but I would say the customer journey is very similar. Very small, if there was any variation. It's more semantics, I would say, than anything.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, and then as I've said earlier, I am giving you this deck because you can actually use it to run a design thinking workshop in your own organization. This is not, although I showed it as a sequential step, you may consider it as more iterative, right? To get from the squiggly line down to that more plain and less noisy visual. Okay? So we're not going to do this exercise, but I wanted to show you that you can actually just use this and take it with you, right? And put it into action. So let's say we already did the story map. So we come up with, you log in, this is what you do. This was the visual that I just shared earlier that had the physical sticky notes. From this story map, we can actually derive our roadmap, meaning we can find key features and then find our body of work or some solutions that we can build in order to create our roadmap. And so these lines, it's as simple as just drawing on it to say, okay, this group of steps here, we can build it as one feature. This one is another, and then this one is another. And then you can do a comparison too from your current state to this future state that you have to see which ones are more important, where the highest value is, and so forth. I'm simplifying it, but I know there's a lot of complexity and factors that you would consider. But one key thing, and I found really important and very effective in doing this, is at some point, you may start off with saying, hey, let's just do this mapping for now because we kind of know what's going on. But before you even do the actual road mapping and finalizing what the circles are made up of, bring in your customers or somebody who's really close to your customer who can give that feedback. Because at the end of the day, it's not about you or the engineering team building a very sophisticated solution. If the customers are not bought into it or you did not put the customers first, it's useless. Nobody's going to use it. Nobody's going to buy it. Nobody's going to pay for it. Okay?
Are there times when it's too early to bring in a customer? So if the customer is trying to expand too much on extra possibilities or avenues?
So it really depends on the situation. So right now, because I deal mostly with external clients, we find it very important that, sometimes when we come up with, because this is a business that I'm doing, we talk to like management or whoever signs the invoices. But then once we start doing the work, usually the people we've been talking to are not the same people that you would need once you get to this part. So where I found very effective is that we bring them as soon as possible. Now, you as a facilitator of this transformation and the peeling of the onions, you got to draw from your own experience and from what you gather from your stakeholders to see what works and what doesn't. Does it make sense to do like a 1-day workshop and you go through this entire process, or does it make sense to split it up and maybe there's different stakeholders throughout these steps? Because you talked about getting the CEO, getting the head of sales, right, for the vision. Maybe when you get to this point, maybe it's the end users that you would need and not so much the CEO. But maybe you bring back the CEO when you have this mapping done so that they have an idea of how the vision is translated in something concrete down on the ground and see if there's alignment or not. So there's no one answer. I know I'm giving you the consultant answer here, as it depends. But to be honest, it really depends on the situation that you're in, the context that you're in. I hope that addresses. If you want to talk further, if you have a specific scenario, we can talk after this. I can stay for a bit just to address it. Okay, so again, as I've said, I've already explained to you how this works. This is just so that you have something ready that you can use. So what's next? Say we already came up with the roadmap. We're building it. We deploy it, right? Now we make sure that we validate and measure. So once it's out there, right, we went through this divergent and thinking, and then slowly we discovered what is it really that our customers want. Do they really want to do spacewalk? Or maybe they just want to look at the stars. Who knows, right? Or maybe it's the moon that they want to go to, or Jupiter. Who knows? And then you narrow it down to which exact service or product that we should be building and deliver it to them. Now, as they're using it or trying it out, we have to measure and make sure that they're actually using it. Were we successful? Does it make sense? Do we continue? Because as we all know, our resources are scarce. So we all have to be wear our entrepreneur hats here every time we make any decision or we embark on any project or endeavor in the organization. Okay, so that's actually the end of my talk. I wanted to give some time for Q&A. So what we did was we went through an overview of design thinking. As I've said, I've only shown you like one way of doing it, but hopefully you've seen the importance of bringing in the customer into these conversations and why the customer is key in deriving the pain points or finding the right opportunities to take advantage of the situation. And I've also given you, which through this deck, some actionable strategies that you could leverage with you. So so now it's a Q&A portion, but at the same time, I want to take advantage because I have a captured audience. If you can just go back to and scan this link, or I will put it in the chat again. While we're doing Q&A, if you could just give some feedback of what worked, what didn't work, a little bit of retrospective. I'm going to open up. So it's the same section or same mural that we were in earlier. The only difference is we're going to go in this part. So in the whole mural, we're actually here on the bottom, and you want to, I'll zoom it in a little here. And I've given you some sticky notes in there. So tell me what you liked about this, and then what you wish was not there or had less of, or maybe something else. Or if you have an idea, feel free to share on I Wonder. So this is a Q&A portion. Feel free to bring up your questions, unmute yourselves, or put it in the chat. And I appreciate the folks who are already writing in there. Thank you so much. Yep, questions, comments. Maybe I'll give you a question if you guys don't have a question for me.
I have an idle one, which doesn't really have a good
Go ahead.
answer. Um, so we spent this time digging into design thinking and how it can frame your mindset. How would you, I guess, draw similarities or differences to what could be considered a consultant's mindset and trying to treat a customer in that way?
Sorry, I'm not so sure I understood the question, Michael. Can you?
Sure.
Yeah.
I come from a background of IT consultancy where you are having to approach the project with a consultant's mindset as opposed to I'm just looking at a solutions aspect or potentially programming or even design aspect. So I wanted to know if you were familiar with that persona, and if so, if you saw any correlations, differences therein.
If I understand correctly, so is it how do you leverage design thinking if you're taking the consultant hat?
Sure, sure. I'm seeing a lot of similarities between design thinking and consultancy, and I'm wondering if there's a whole lot of differences or just kind of things that you've noticed in your experience doing them.
Yeah, I kind of split them into two different things because when you say consultant, like that's what I also do. I consult with clients, and then design thinking is one of the tools that we bring in as needed. And so we incorporate it into the conversation, we incorporate it into the way we build things, and so forth. I hope that answers your question. But if you have something more specific in terms of what you've seen today versus the work that you're doing, maybe that would help clarify it further.
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Oh, and I did say that, okay, thank you so much for sharing. And if you have any further questions, I would be more than happy to connect with you. So feel free to scan this QR code. I'm very active in LinkedIn. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions or if you have things like, oh, I'm curious to know about, we're doing this right now, where we have a challenge that we're dealing with, and then I'm trying to figure out like what part of design thinking or what strategies you've used in the past to help. More than happy to help you with that. Because the other thing, and I'm gonna plug, shamelessly plug, so that February 26th talk that Thea has just mentioned, we actually like me and my team, we actually leverage design thinking. So I'm also an transformation advisor for an AI startup. We recently conducted and leveraged like problem solving, design thinking theories and concepts, and applied it to work with a nonprofit organization in order to help them speed up the work that they're doing so that people in, especially with nonprofit, they rely heavily on grants, donations, and so they have very scarce resources. So they want to focus their efforts more on helping the community and not be bogged down by administrative work or slow down in systems that they have to use because they have regulatory commitments as well to the companies that give them their grants and donations. So and so in that the reason why I said that the technique, you'll see some of the things that I shared in here, but we also incorporated other techniques into it because that's what the situation called for it.
Excellent. Rochelle, thank you so much for bringing this good information to us. I really, really appreciate how design thinking allows you to get information from all of the impacted people that you need to. And you start out with a wide variety of perspectives, and then you can narrow it down into the project goals. So thanks for bringing us this. I look forward to you coming back in a month and bringing us the other topic. It's always good to hear from you.
I look forward to that. And maybe by then, because we're actually launching that, so that use case that I'm sharing, we're actually launching in a week or two. And so by then, by the time I come back, I'll probably be able to show you the actual product itself.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for participating in this event. As you know, we have events every single week. We're getting ready to start our CBAP classes on top of this event. And then we're going to have our SDLC conference later in the year. We've got all kinds of good stuff for you. So please keep leaning in. And if this is good for you, maybe it's good for somebody else. We can only help the people that come to us. So spread the word, and we will continue to help everybody that God brings us. I hope you have a very pleasant evening. I hope you stay safe during the snowmageddon that's coming. Uh, pack up and get whatever you need to be safe during that time. And I will see you next week. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank
Thank you,
you.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.